Thank you, sir. How long do I have?
You got 50, 55 minutes somewhere in that vicinity.
Oh, you guys gonna have fun? We finna have fun. Oh my goodness. I'm setting my clock as well to 50 minutes. I probably won't use it all, but I might. My name is Leslie Strange. I'm a recovering alcoholic. My sobriety date is November 2nd, 1988. That means that, listen to this math, okay? That means that I have 32 years as of November 2nd. 32 years sober. I came in at 28 years old. For you non-mathematician, that means I'm 60. I'm in denial, and sometimes denial works because I don't look 60 to me. I don't know about you, but I'm happy. And the pandemic has had me lose weight. I don't know what y'all doing. A lot of y'all got snacks by your bedside. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. So, this pandemic has been great. I haven't had to work in a year. I'm excited. All I get to do every day is talk to alcoholics. That is the best thing ever. Not getting paid in money, but in being paid in excitement, enthusiasm, and just having a ball. Now, if you're on these squares and you're not having fun, you can have fun with my fun because I have a blast. I'm like this like 90% of the time, not just because I'm on a square and I'm in front of 200 and some odd people who are just like me. It's not because of that. It is the joy that I have found. And it's the renewed hope again. Because if you stay around here for a while, and I know a lot of you got a lot more time than I do, and you got a lot more time on this planet, and you're wiser than me and all that. But sometimes you rest on your laurels, you get tired. I had a call at 5:45 this morning. I opened one eyeball and answered the call and sat on the phone with this lady for an hour. Now, I'm not saying that for bragging, but a selfish, self centered, self seeking, full of defects, 6 and 7, defective and having 7 deadly sins all up in me 90% of the time with retarded thinking. A girl like me that's able to get out of herself and roll over and pick up the phone to listen to somebody cry and snot and roll around on the floor, the ugly cry, too. I didn't even know what she looked like, but I can hear the ugly cry. That's when you're not, your face is just, pain. That's not me. In and of myself, by myself, I would have laid there. In and of myself, by myself, I wouldn't even be sober. So, by God's grace, in the last couple of years, I have had a second wind, and baby, I'm gonna ride this wave because there's nothing better than to wake up and remember who I was with last night and what I did last night. And I don't have an obsession to drink. Now I have a mental thing still going on, but that's a whole nother story. So I'm gonna tell you in a general way what I used to be like, what happened to me, and what I'm like today. I'm broadcasting loud, live, and in color from Atlanta, Georgia. It's really a suburb called Powder Springs, Georgia. I've been here for 15 years, but I am a Los Angelian for all my life, for the rest of my life, even if I'm in Georgia. I got sober in Los Angeles, and I love my people, and I go home 2, 3, 4 times a year because that's where my home is. That's where all my people got sober. That's where I was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's where I hit my bottom. So, hey, LA is going to be special in my heart. I left my heart in Los Angeles, not San Francisco. So, I'm a recovering Catholic. So, any recovering Catholics in? Am I the only? Okay, so I'm a recovering Catholic. So that'll tell you basically what the idea of my God was when I was growing up. I was raised by a single mother. I was raised in the 60s. I was born in 1960, so the 60s and the 70s. I don't know, a lot of you guys had long hair, like Dan and Jim back then. I don't know what happened, but I know a lot of y'all did the hippie movement. Stephen, why are you laughing? You got a little bit of hair too, but it's okay. And that was during the moment where it was peace, love, take acid, drop in, drop out, and all of that, and society and the whole hippie thing went. And it seemed like it went all over the country. It wasn't just in LA. Everybody was taking the Beetle and driving it across country, the Volkswagen and the station wagon with the wood on the side. I come from that era. It was a great time. But it seems like every time is a great time. When we get past this pandemic, we'll say it was a great time 20 years from now. Right now, it ain't that great to some people, but I'm having a blast. Let me tell you what I think it is. I think that God will take any defect, whether it's worldwide or individual, and he'll make it an asset for him. And that's exactly what I think alcoholism is about. It took my deepest, darkest defect and made it beautiful for other people to see. That if a girl like me who went to Catholic school, who didn't know nothing about God, And when I did know about God, he was that old time God. You guys don't act right, he gonna flood the earth. You guys don't act right, I'm gonna send locusts and pestilence. You guys don't act right, I'm gonna turn Gordon into a pillar of salt because he turned around and looked back over his shoulder. And Gordon's too cute to be a pillar of salt. So, that was the God I had. They terrified the hell out of me with that God. The priests were molesters and the nuns were angry. I thought the nuns need just to get them a high hard one and they'd be okay. Did I say that? I'm sorry if I offended you. If you are alcoholic and you've got pure ears now, I don't cuss, but I am descriptive. I do cuss sometimes, but don't tell nobody. But the thing about it is that's all I knew. As a kid, I just had my first Holy Communion. They told me when you sin, they gave you these 10 steps. They call them commandments. But there was 10 steps, and they said, thou shalt not. And I didn't know how not to shout. And I shouted my way into the confessional. And the confessional was this little bitty closet or this little bitty dark room. Anybody know what a confessional is? You go in there, the priest slides back the curtain or the little door. You tell him what your sins were. He'll tell you 4,792 Our Fathers and Hail Marys and go say them at the altar and you'll be clear. And that was my penance, as they call it. And I'm supposed to be right back on the good side of the Lord. I put a T on the end of the Lord. And everything was going to be fine. See, religion is cool. It's all good. When it talks about loving one another and forgiveness and all that, I don't care what religion it is, whether you're Jewish or you're Catholic or you're Baptist or it doesn't matter. The message is still the same. But what I found out about religion as I grew up, I was today years old when I found out they tell me the solution. They teach me how to pray. They tell me the stories. They tell me the miracles, but they didn't tell me what was wrong with me. So I went to Catholic school because my mother was a single parent. My mother was a Hollywood lady. She worked in the movie industry in the post-production end. So she worked at MGM. I grew up on the sets running around MGM and Deluxe Laboratories and all those different places. It was fun as a kid. I get to see certain stars. I've met some wonderful ones. And I'm an old school girl. I love old black and white movies, and I love the Manchurian Candidate and Orson Welles and all that good stuff. See, I'm eclectic like that. See, I thought that I thought everybody was raised like that, but I didn't find that out till later that everybody's not raised like I was. Because of course, when you're selfish, you think everybody's like you. So let me tell you my alcoholism. So I told you about my idea of God. I figured I'm a kid. How much sinning can I do? Okay, I stole a pencil. I stole some candy. I might have stole some money for some ice cream from my mother's purse. I might have disobeyed my parents. I might have not done my homework. I might have cheated on the test. That was the max. And they tell me what to do and I'd be okay. But then I'd be right back in there 2 weeks later. And I've done it again. So that was my pattern. That was the only thing I knew about God. I knew the classic prayers. When I got here, I knew the Lord's Prayer. That was good. At least I knew that one. Didn't know nothing about the Serenity Prayer. I'd never heard of it. Just put my head down and looked around at everybody when I was new and listened to what they were saying. I've learned it. That's a good thing. So as I progressed, I was the girl just like most alcoholics. We beat ourselves up. We don't feel pretty enough. You could be gorgeous in these squares. Cindy, you're gorgeous. But I know there was times when Cindy Godfrey did not feel cute. I know Rob Christie just didn't feel handsome because there's that one little girl that didn't pay you no attention. Susan, I know you just thought you was nothing. But see, I'm not the only one. That's why I include people because I don't want to be the only one. And when I listen to the stories, y'all just like me. Doesn't matter what you come from. Doesn't matter where you come from. You might have had a silver spoon. You might have had both parents. I had an angry Black woman mother that wore afro as big as the square I'm sitting in, who said power to the people, but she sent me to an all-white Catholic school. So I'd be Becky during the day, and I'd be Bumquisha in the evening, because I'd come home and my mama's sitting there talking about right on for the right on and peace to the people. And so I'm confused. But I was going to Catholic school, and that's how I was raised. So by the time I get that part good and done, I don't have a relationship with God. Only time I prayed to God is like, please, God, don't let my mother open up the mail to see my report card. That was about the biggest thing I did with God. Or please, God, don't let there be something. You know what's so funny? I'm not a canned speaker, so my talk will be different. My sponsees love talking to me because my story has so many chapters in the what it was like that I can just come up with something and tell you some things about me that I've never shared. Doesn't matter. I don't care. It's because I'm free. See, there's a freedom that you get around here that no matter who's in the squares, no matter who's listening to me, No matter where you come from, I know we got one thing in common. Well, really two: disconnection from God. And if I take one drink, all bets are off. I have an alcoholic body. I have a mind that said don't drink, but I have a body that said no. I have a mind that says to drink and a body that says you can't handle it. So let me tell you about the first time I got drunk. By the time I was 16, I was sick of rolling up my Catholic school plaid skirt. I was tired of the black and white Oxfords. I wanted to go to school. Guess why? Because of you boys. It was guys like Dan Cotter. Oh God, I gotta get to a Catholic school so I can meet me some Dan. Or it was a guy like Jim S. Oh, I got to meet me some Jim because I wanted to be around boys. Because for whatever reason, with the little girls and little boys, we always have to have the opposite sex to validate us. I'm not cute until a guy tells me I'm cute. I'm not pretty till somebody says I'm pretty. And if the guy doesn't pay me any attention, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get his attention. So a girlfriend of mine had a birthday party. It was at her house. 16, we're having nighttime parties. We're playing all of the Kool in the Gang and all of the stuff that's going on, Marvin Gaye, and we're dancing, we're having fun. And then that boy showed up that I always had a crush on. And then they said, remember back in the day when somebody had a big punch bowl? And there was always some smart aleck guy. It was always one of you guys. It was always a man, a boy. And he would have that little drink in his pocket. And he'd sneak that drink out. And he, what we used to call spike the punch. He put a little bit of Akadama in there. Or he put a little bit of cheap wine, some Annie Green Springs, some Boone's Farm, something. And he'd drop it in there. And we'd all see it and get excited. Well, that night he poured almost a whole bottle in there. And I decided, since he wasn't paying me any attention, maybe if I drink some of this drink, I won't be so nervous. Went over to that bowl and I killed that punch bowl. I had a ball, I think, until I was so drunk on my first drinking excursion. I was so drunk and visibly drunk, obviously, because they took me and they hid me in the laundry room and pulled the accordion doors together so her mother would know that there was alcohol in the punch bowl. All the parents are in the kitchen with the doors closed. I ended up waking up the next morning smelling like Downy or something. I slept all night in the, thank you, Sue, for paying attention to me. I slept all night in that laundry room, had the worst headache ever, but that didn't stop me. Now, I can't tell you when I crossed that invisible line that the big book talks about. I just know that I just won't drink so much. As I grew up and I got older, I'm going to public school and all other things are introduced to me. That old bad marijuana that gives you a headache. Yes, I know this is Alcoholics Anonymous, but I'm an experimenter. You didn't see the PhD at the end of my name. I'm a scientist. I figure if I mix this with some of that, then I'll get this effect. Or if I drink this and eat this, I won't have a hangover. If I have a hangover, I got to take one cold beer to the head. By this time, I'm 21, 22 years old, and now the club scene is on. Baby, I would put on the shortest, and this is in the 70s and 80s. I'm putting on the shortest, tightest thing I could, because I told you it was you boys. You boys were the alpha and the omega of my life. You regulated how I felt about myself. Had quite a few boyfriends, broke up with a few, got beat up by a few. But you know one thing I had to find out, and I found that out on my fifth step. I used to always say I was abused. But the fact of the matter is, you can't walk about behind a man during an argument. He's trying to walk away from you and talk about his mother. It doesn't go together well. And the man might turn around and choke you. So I don't know if that's a good idea. Sue, I don't know if you did that, but I found out that I had been lying and telling these pitiful stories all this time. And really, I was the arbiter. I was the judge. I was the instigator. Not saying that all times I deserved it, but sometimes people just have a short fuse. So as I get up and I grow up and I start going to the clubs, I'm putting on the tightest thing I can. I'm dancing all night, and that's when the drinks come. Ooh, I used to like them Long Island iced teas. Whoever invented that was a demon and a god at the same time. That was 7 different liquors. Baby, I would drink a Long Island iced tea, and I felt like I looked like Cher. Shut up. I felt like I looked like Cher. My boobs got bigger, my hair got longer, my waist got smaller, my legs got bigger. I got real skinny legs. My legs got bigger, and I was just fabulous. You couldn't tell me anything. I'd dance all night. And the good thing about it is I never got a DUI. I used to think it was because I knew which back streets to take to go home from the club. But I found out this word. It was a 5-letter word y'all talked about. It was called grace. Oh, grace is what kept me. I'd go on deliveries to those other party favors with a friend of mine, go into a mafioso's house, got this attaché case full of money. I'm hanging out with her. We're drinking and doing the things that we do. Little did I know, these are murderers. We got out of there, it was no big deal. It was grace. It was grace that kept me from getting hit and killed. It was grace that kept me from killing and hitting somebody. I didn't know what amazing grace that song really meant until I came into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. It is grace that kept me from dying in some of those sordid places I went to. See, I'm the girl that likes to drink and do other party favors. I'm a pillhead by nature. I have to be. I'm such an alcoholic. When I go to the dentist, I immediately want some twilight sleep because it just feels so good to me. I don't know if you anything like me, but I can't wait for a good headache because I think I got something in the medicine cabinet that'll help. I'm that girl. And so when I came into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous at 28 years old, this was my last run. My last run consisted of me and my friend and those other party favors. You know, one's wet, one's dry, but they're both kill your ass type party favor. I drink and drink and drink, and we're sitting there. All of a sudden, I don't feel anything. I try it again and I try it again. I didn't feel anything. It wasn't working. I don't know what happened. Now, as I look back on it, because what I do is I live my life forward, but I learn backwards. And I'm also one that learns lessons of the educational variety. See, I have to get that spiritual ass whooping. I said ass, not a bad word, forgive me, but I get that spiritual ass whooping that wakes me up sometimes. But this particular night, nothing was working. And something in my spirit, something in my head, and it wasn't the disease, but it was something that said, go home. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. We're at a motel because by the time I finished my drinking career, I was in a motel, 80 pounds, soaking wet. I'm 5'2", so 80 pounds on, you might think that's cute. It's not. I'm gaunt. My underwear don't fit. I mean, I'm that graphic with it. That's how bad it got for me. It got that bad. And something in my soul said, this is not, you're not going to end up the old broad at the end of the bar with the voices talking like this with the cigarette sitting there with a wig on sideways and red lipstick and red rouge. I didn't think that was what God would have with me. I found out later on that that was the part in the book where it talks about every man, woman, and child has a fundamental idea of a God. I didn't know I had that fundamental idea of a God. I also came into the rooms and found out that I have an agnostic temperament. I even have it now. Sometimes God is phenomenal. I'm just so believer. I'm such a believer. Woo, I can stand up and just tell you everything. And then there's some days where I start doubting God. God ain't answering my prayer. See, the God for me was a wishing God. You get you a little lantern, they give you 3 wishes, and God's supposed to perform. Or if you pray for that friend that's dying right now, or that friend is suffering from cancer right now. They taught me in Catholic school, you pray real hard, God will give you your wishes. But God is not that kind of God, not the God of my understanding. See, this is a participatory program. That means I'm in partnership with God. Now, it's not that he needs my help, it's that I need him. But there's some things I have to do for him to do what he needs to do. And I have to be willing. It's the thing that's amazing to me. That day when I came home and I told the guy I was done and I wanted to go home, I was nauseous. I was sick and my heart was racing because I'd been mixing things and being a chemist and taking a little bit of this and drinking a little bit of that. And so I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned. I broke out in hot sweats. Then I got cold flashes. Then I wanted to throw up. Then I couldn't throw up. It's nothing worse than to be so hot and cold that you have to lay on the cold pavement or the cold ground of the bathroom, the nasty bathroom, face forward, no clothes on because you've come out of all your clothes. That desperation. Didn't know I had that. So I go home. I call my mom. I said, Mom, something's wrong with my heart. It's skipping beats and it's pounding, and I can't get it to stop. So she took me to the hospital and they kept me overnight and they did all the blood work and everything that they think they needed to do. And as I sat there with my mother, she had no clue. It's amazing how some family members see it and some family members don't. By this time, I wasn't doing the things I liked. I love plays. I love concerts. I love entertainment. I love going to parks. I love having picnics. But by that time, I wasn't doing any of that. I was a small shell of a girl living in a 1-bedroom apartment. I still had a job and I had a piece of a car. I had no kids and never been married at 28 years old. And I was done. Now, see, I didn't know I was done at that time, but I stayed 32 years later, came in one time, took one newcomer chip, and I remained to stay. That lets me know what that story was about. I was done back then, and I didn't know it. So what they told me was the guy came down with a clipboard. He had a white jacket. I guess he was the attending physician. He said, Miss Odom, that was my last name at the time. He said, you got a lot of stuff going on in your bloodstream. I guess it was DNA and dance parties and disco lights and sparkles and everything in my blood system, in my blood pattern. And he said, you know what, are you tired? And I looked at him and I said, yeah, I'm tired. I was exhausted. I was done. I was tired. He says, well, here. And he pulled out this thick little book, and it was an AA directory. I was like, wow, okay. He said, look in here. It's broken up into states and cities and all of that. I think these people can help you. I looked at my mom. She took me home. I was too scared to go home because I didn't know what I had left. And I stayed overnight at my mom's house, and we started going through that directory. We started circling these churches and these hospitals and places we had no clue we'd been passing all along and never knew AA was there, never knew nothing about AA. Now, mind you, I did those other party favors and I didn't know I was an alcoholic. I came to AA, and that's when I became an alcoholic, when you guys started explaining to me the symptoms. When you took me to the doctor's opinion and told me men and women get drunk because they like the effect produced by it. So I had to think back, what do I like? If I'm thirsty, I'm going to drink water, just like Marty just did. If I'm thirsty, I'm going to drink some water, or I'll drink some tea. But there's a thirst that can't be quenched when you're an alcoholic. No matter how much, how I mix it, who I do it with, it's never going to be quenched. It brings to mind the movie. I love movies. It brings to mind the movie, The Little Shop of Horrors. You guys know that one? And it was that big plant. Yeah, Carol, yeah. And they killed somebody and they fed it to the plant. And then the plant was like, feed me Seymour. And they had to go around killing people and finding people to give to the plant. Well, that's my disease. Feed me more. Feed me more. And that's just what I was doing. So I came into my first meeting at Alcoholics Anonymous, and it went a little something like this. My mother was my road dog. For the first 90 days, she went to every meeting with me. She got a joy out of that. She wasn't an alcoholic, but she was just glad to be in there because I'm just like her. I love people. I hadn't dressed up in a long time, and I was that drunk that came in because I still have some ego and I still have some pride. Just like on Zoom today, oh, you'll never find me coming in here with a stocking cap on my head looking crazy. That's just me. That's just a part of who I am. If this is a program of attraction, I try to make it look cute. Hello. Okay, thank you for listening to me. I try to make it look attractive. Now, so let me tell you, so me and my mom, we're rolling around to these meetings in Los Angeles. We go to the Beverly Hills meetings. Oh, those are cool. It looked like a used car lot for luxury vehicles. They had Mercedes. They had actors and actresses sitting in the meetings. I'm sitting there feeling less than in a room full of people who felt less than as I did. I didn't know that then. Then I went to another meeting and I saw up on the wall, there were two banners. There was a banner that had 12 steps. And then there was a banner. Now, mind you, I'd never heard of AA. That was my first time. And I saw the banner that said the traditions. Well, the traditions was too much to read. When you're coming off of a run and a drunk, it's too much to read and it looked like too ruly. There's too many rules, and we are commonwealth. I didn't know what that meant. When I turned and I looked at those 12 steps, you know what jumped out at me? I guess maybe the Catholic school girl in me jumped out. The word God. God was in step 3 and step 11 as I think back now, and I'm like, wow. And underneath that part, it says, as we understood him, and it was italicized and underlined. I was like, wow, I wonder what that means. And what was more and more impressive to me is the men. See, the same boys that made me feel bad about me, to see a grown man go up to a podium, raise his hand and voluntarily go up to a podium in a room full of 50, 60, 70 people and share something that he's going through and break down and cry and cry and cry. And nobody laughed at him. And then when he get down from the podium, all the men will run up to him and shake his hand and hug him. He had been in there for a couple months and they hugged him and they really felt it. Now, girls, we're huggy anyway. We're girls. That's what we do. We kiss and hug. I don't know if you one of them women that don't like people touching you. I'm not. I'm a kissy, huggy. I'll kiss this screen right by now. I'm not scared of you. But anyway, but with the guys to do it, it was amazing to me. The guys looked fresh-faced and glowing like Ebby. I said, "Ooh, they cute." Okay, that was the hoey part of me. I'm sorry. But they was cute. They had jobs and cars and pagers and phones and stuff. Back in the 80s, only people that had pagers were those other people that sold things to people like me. So it was amazing to see that. I was so excited when they came up to me and asked me, "What's your name? How long have you been around?" Well, welcome home. To hear somebody tell you welcome instead of get out, it was a phenomenal feeling. I felt the presence of God in there. I have liked going to meetings from day one. Now, a lot of people aren't like me, and a lot of people have difficulty with God and meetings and fellowshipping and all that. But I'm a girly girl and I love people. People are amazing, they're enlightening, and they're beautiful souls to me. And even more so now that I'm sober. So they told me to get a sponsor. I got a sponsor. I got a man and a woman because I wouldn't know. I was scared of myself. And I got one of each. I started going to meetings. I sat in the front. I did all the stuff preliminary that you do. I was excited to be alive. I cannot tell you when the obsession was lifted. I have no clue, but I know a day at a time it was. It took me 18 months to do my 4-step because I thought it was because I didn't feel like it. But these old timers told me, no, it's because you're afraid. The big book self told me, nobody likes to live in their pride. Nobody likes to admit they're false. Nobody likes to look at themselves. I don't even like to do that today. But I know that this program is like spiritual kale. It don't taste good, but damn it, it's good for you. Keep eating. So that's what I do here. Thank you, Sue. I love you. So that's what I do here. So I started going through these steps. I went through everything just like they told me to. I wrote my inventory, my sex, my resentment. I went through the whole 9 yards. I did my 5th step. I had that hour quiet. I did all of this, and baby, I was levitating. I was floating. I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm not getting high no more. No, I didn't get high anymore. I didn't understand 6 and 7, though. There wasn't but this much in the big book Alcoholics Anonymous. I used to do this for decades. I do a 4-step because I done sat on, I ain't did 10, 11, and 12. I did 12 because I got sponsees, but I do a 4-step and a 5th step when it got too heavy and my behavior was just rampant. My sex inventory, my relationships were horrible. Skip 6 and 7. Oh, I know the 7-step prayer. Keep it moving. And then go do my amends. And then go back to 12. That's how my pattern went for years. In the meantime, I got married. Well, see, I'm the girl that's like this. I'm gonna be honest with you. We family. I'm the girl that's so sexually immoral that when I drink, I wake up with people that I don't know. When I drink, I'm the girl that wakes up and I find out I'm pregnant, and one more time, I don't know who the father is. I'm the girl that goes to the abortion clinic as a way of birth control. I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm telling you the truth. That's how bad it got for me. Because of my inability to manage and control my life. Because obviously I didn't have a God. So by the time I got into the rooms, I found him at 60 days. He had 60 days. I had 30 days. I said, Bill W. and Dr. Bob had wives. I'm getting a husband. They say don't get in a relationship in the first year. I scoured that book to see where it said that. And then they said, oh, it's not in there. Oh, I'm doing it because I thought I was supposed to. I got that husband, honey. I had the child first, got that husband. He went into the army and got stationed in Mannheim, Germany. So me and the baby moved over to Mannheim, Germany, and he commenced to being somebody I didn't know. See, the one thing that's wrong with me is I'm an intellectual variety. And I found out that I can't fight this spiritual illness with my thinking, with my intellect. I also found out that the disease centers in my thinking. Let me tell you what that looks like for Leslie Strange. My head to tell me because you're looking down and you ain't looking at me. You're not paying me some attention. So I'm going to do something to make you pay me some attention. I'm going to act out. I'm going to do something to make you look at me because I feel like you don't like what I'm saying. Ego. So what's amazing about my thinking is that's where my ego is too. And my ego, my false pride, my resentments, my fear, my selfishness, my self-centeredness, my delusion, my illusions, my 7 deadly sins they talk about in 6 and 7, and my defects of character they talk about in 6. All of those are what I'm going to be fighting after I get the disease of drinking. Because drinking for me was just a period at the end of the sentence. And what do we do with a raggedy sentence? We have to rewrite the sentence. And thank God he had a pen that was working that day. Because he rewrote my sentence. Not only he did that, he rewrote my paragraph. He etched out a story that's a beautiful love story. And I say that today. My life is a beautiful love story, even in the pain, even without drinking. But I found out that 6 and 7 started showing its ugly head. It started rearing its ugly head and it started showing up. I didn't know that my defects are something that I'm going to always have because I'm an alcoholic. And it's not just because I took a drink, it's what's the cause of why you took the drink. See, I always thought it was because my mother was mean. I always thought because I was a Black girl and I was raised with a lot of Jewish kids. I always thought that maybe my mother didn't make enough money to buy me a brand new car and I'm driving this old Ford Maverick to school. I always thought it was circumstances, money or lack thereof or whatever. That's not why I'm a drunk. I'm a drunk because I cannot control the amount I take, how often I take it, and I definitely can't control what it does for me or to me. That's why I'm a drunk. I have a disconnection with God. And at any given moment, I can be disconnected from God without having had one drink. That's how I roll. See, I've learned to understand that it's not about perfection, it's about being able to at least see me. And I hope that your me is like my me, that it gets on your nerves so bad you're desperate, just like the drink. I'm desperate to put me down. I need more God. I can't write this stuff away. I can't pray this stuff away. Sometimes you have to walk through it. You have to see you loud, live, and in color. Let me tell you what that looks like in sobriety. So I go over to Germany. I'm with this man. He begins to put his hands on me legitimately. And I come back home. I left him with a Cheerio and a fork in the damn floor. I told him, send me home. I'm ready to go home. And I went home. Now I'm 4 years sober. I'm with my mother with a child that's 3 years old. And I'm homeless. I'm on welfare for the first time in my entire life. I wasn't raised that way. But the good news is you guys reminded me. It's based on my spiritual maintenance. I've been going to meetings in Germany. I've been doing some other spiritually maintaining things. And I came back to LA angry. I was pissed off at everything and everybody. You guys told me I was going to trudge this road to happy destiny and I was supposed to have a ball. And what kind of part of the game is this, God? You tell me I can't drink, but I'm not happy, joyous, and free. I'm not even praying at the meetings. The only thing I could do is sit there with an attitude. And when you guys get up to say the dismissing prayer, the parting prayer, I just stand there with an attitude as if God is mad about me and my attitude. See, then I went and I divorced that man because he put his hands on me and some other things that I did to contribute to it. But I'm going to tell you something about Leslie Strange. One of the things I know is that I'm an adulteress. See, I'm the girl that has a husband and a boyfriend. I didn't know you wasn't supposed to do that. Well, I did, but I thought I could manage to control that. 18 years sober, a plethora of sponsees, worked the steps inside, outside, backwards, read every kind of sermon on the mountain, every kind of book that there was in the world. I got commitments going. I'm 18 years sober. And then I met him in a meeting with a husband. And then all of a sudden, I had the bright idea. I like him. I'm bringing back that old behavior. Sounds like a defect of like lust. So I would lie to get with this guy. We started having an affair. Don't tell nobody, you guys. This is between me and you. So we start having an affair. I come in one meeting door. He would come in the other meeting door. And my husband would come in another meeting door. And we just sitting there looking crazy. He knew I had a husband. And that ended up like this. I started lying and telling my husband, I got to go speak in Orange County. That's about an hour ride. I was speaking all right. It was called Motel 6. I said God a few times. I just wanted that to sit with you for a minute, let you mix around on that. That was real graphic, wasn't it? But you got me, right? I lied on the program. I started disappearing and working the steps backwards. Let me tell you what that looks like. 12 step. I ain't calling my sponsees back. I'm coming up mission. I'm not returning phone calls because I'm so into this guy. I'm so ready to get out of this relationship. I put the husband out and bring the new guy in. Now, you might say that's really kind of shabby, Leslie. How you going to do that? Defect. Had done a million sex conduct inventories. All it did was made me aware of what I was possible, what I could possibly do when I'm detached and disconnected from God. I can be right in the middle of these squares and still be disconnected. And the cold part about it is sometimes I don't even see the disconnect. So I'm messing with this guy, and he's taking the place of my husband. And I'm lying to my sponsees. 12 step, I'll get to them. They'll be okay. 11th step, I'm doing the microwave prayers. God grant me the serenity that happens real fast. Meditation, I'll think about it. 10th step, I ain't doing a nightly review. Nightly review, you know what I'm doing. 9th step, I had some amends left over. I'll make amends later. 8th step, I know who I need to make amends to, but they'll just have to hold on a minute. I got other stuff to do. I got a bill to pay. I got to go to work. See, I got some things around here. I got the job and the car and the 2 kids. I had 2 boys from 2 different marriages. And then all of a sudden, 5th step. What 5th step? 6 and 7 is coming out. I'm skipping over that because I don't think I have any defects and shortcomings. I just know I'm an alcoholic. 4th step, I ain't wrote nothing in a while. So obviously my 10th step is going to gather stones and moss. So I got a 4th step as long as my arm, but I'll talk to my sponsor later. I ain't been talking to her, so 5th step is definitely out of it. 3rd step was to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. But all of a sudden, I started doing things on my own without consulting another person. I knew what it said in the 5th step in the 12 and 12. They said highly developed spiritual people almost always run something by somebody else. I got this. I don't have to run everything. I'm grown. I'm in my 40s by then. I don't need to call my sponsor about everything. I can just pray about it and do it. So all of a sudden, I'm taking my will and my thinking and my actions back. I'm doing what I want to do. Then slowly, I start going crazy. What's this crazy look like for a sober alcoholic? You start living in your head. You start thinking what people are thinking of you. In fact, everybody's thinking of you. All of a sudden, you pull out the crystal ball and you become Miss Cleo. All of a sudden, I can foretell the future and tell the past. All of a sudden, I start going crazy. I can't stand that Stephen Todd. His meeting is he just wants to run the whole meeting. Oh, I can't stand Dan. Dan's recording or he got something on his ears. Why he always got to look like that? Why is Jim always smiling? Ooh, that damn Jim. Susan, she always trying to run stuff. She's just trying to do the tradition. She's a traditions police. I'm going to leave this meeting. I'm going to go to another meeting. And then I start going to other meetings. And all of a sudden, I just say, F it. I'm not going to no meetings. So all of a sudden, I ain't got time for God. I got things to do. God got me. Taking advantage of grace is what I feel like it was. All of a sudden, I become powerful and my life is manageable. I'm able to pay some bills. I'm making more money than I ever had. And I'm this close to a relapse. I got this lady named sponsor. My sponsor was Betty T. She was an ex-madam and I loved her. She was a black Mae West. And she talked real baby talk until you pissed her off and she had to say the B word to you. But she would talk to you just like that. I said, well, Betty, when the guy that I was messing with, he moved to Atlanta, and of course I'm gonna follow my man. And I followed him and I took 2 kids, a dog and a cat. I probably owe the dog and a cat, but I can't find them no more. I owe them an amends, but we'll find them another. Bless him. And I moved to Atlanta with him. I moved into a place here and he lost his complete ever-loving mind. I don't know about y'all, but all you men don't do it. You seemed a little too seasoned. I don't want you to have heart attacks, but Atlanta's the land of the strip clubs. It sounds like an old blues song. I lost my man to the strip clubs in Atlanta. All of a sudden, he stopped coming home. He ain't going to no meetings. I don't know if he's drinking or not. Now, all of a sudden, I'm in a fetal position. I'm smoking back-to-back Newports, but I still got a little piece of God, and I got a whole lot of grace. And grace is what kept me through all of that stuff, self-imposed crisis. And I still had my sponsor. I'm 3,000 miles away from all my family and friends, but I knew how to look up a meeting. See, you guys taught me when shit fails, when all goes left, go to a meeting. If you're feeling bad, go to a meeting. If you're making mistakes, go to a meeting. You might have to crawl. You might have to moonwalk. You might have to do the twist into the meeting. You might have to skip. You might have to just slide in on your face. But come in the meeting, because this is where we make our mistakes. This is where we do what we shouldn't do and don't do what we're supposed to do. This is the place where you learn. It's all about learning. Meetings are a microcosm of the world. We're the only place on the planet where you can steal from me, you can make amends, and I will say, okay, even though I still don't like your ass. Isn't that a wonderful world? I think Louis Armstrong had a song like that. But anyway, I digress. So the boyfriend, I don't know what happened to him. Now I moved out this big old house and I'm in a 3-bedroom apartment with all my stuff in storage with 2 boys looking at me like, Mom, what we gonna do? But I knew to go back to meetings. And I jumped back into them meetings by 21, 22 years. I'm in them meetings like only the dying could. You would have thought I was a newcomer. and I sat in meetings. And I picked up those girls in LA that never let me go. Let me tell you a little bit about sponsorship. Sponsorship is a beast because those girls have all of the recordings of the corners of your life that were horrible. Those girls, you feed them, they feed you. And when you forget, go ask one of your sponsors, what do you do about a problem? They'll repeat, well, you told me to do this. I'm like, see, didn't nobody ask you all that? That's the thing that I get with the sponsees. They are my spiritual bank accounts because I have to draw down sometimes because I become depleted because there's too much self in there and not enough God. Mere knowledge is not enough if I'm not doing. What I found out is my battle is always going to be 6 and 7. My defects, my shortcomings. This program is like getting a Ferrari. I'm going to hit the guys again. I'm getting you a nice hot red Ferrari. Some of you want a blonde in it, some of you don't, whatever. But a hot red Ferrari. And we say, hey, we're going to give it to you, Stephen, for free. We're going to give you all the gas you need. But Stephen drives the Ferrari and never checks the oil, never checks the belt, never checks the tires, and has the unmitigated gall to get pissed off when the car breaks down and he throws a rod or something because you didn't maintain the car. We gave it to you for free and you didn't maintain the car. Well, that's what my spiritual life is about. If I don't maintain this thing, check this out. I'll have a flat and blower engine. And that's not always good. Because I've seen people go crazy right in the middle of the room, still being sober, and go rabbit ass crazy. I don't want to be that girl. So what I did with each one of those girls, I individually made amends to those girls for dropping out of life on them. Half of those sponsees are still with me to this day. My oldest sponsee has 26, 28 years. She's been with me from day one. I call her my day one. I've got some newcomers. I still work with newcomers. See, I'm not so 32 that I can't talk to a new lady. Sometimes I give them to my sponsees, but sometimes I'll take them because I know I got to stay connected to what that disease does to me. Because I have amnesia, I forget the battles because I got 8 minutes left. I'm going to tell you some of the battles in sobriety that I've been able to walk through with my head up. See, ladies, let me tell you something. Every woman on here has a crown, whether you can see it or not. Sharon, you've got a beautiful name and you've got a beautiful crown. And you can't keep that crown on your head if you're walking around with your head down like this. The crown gonna fall and roll around on the floor, and Phil and them are gonna steal all the jewels in it. So what you gotta do is you gotta stand up. See, God, you guys propped me up until I could stand on my own. I could adjust my crown and be the person that God would have me to be. I'm a GAW, grown-ass woman today. I'm fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions, so I ain't got to be the first to lay down and the last to get up, and I definitely don't have to sleep in the wet spot. Did I say that? I'm so sorry. I'm really spiritual, you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry. But this is how Leslie is done. I have a 21-year-old, and that husband that I put out, he's in the program. He's got about 26, 27 years, and that man I made amends to. Not some sorry amends. I pointed out everything that I did. And of course, he had questions. And I had to sit there and listen to those questions. And when he told me how it made him feel and how it broke him down and how embarrassed and ashamed in front of the fellowship he felt. And then he apologized back to me because sometimes the men kind of make other people apologize even though he hadn't done nothing. But he apologized back to me for not being the man he should have been. That's my best friend. He has my 21-year-old and he's raised him since he was 10. Because he didn't have the money to pay the child support. And so instead of going for his gonads, I had a guy named Ralph White told me, you need to forgive that man. You need to not go after him. That child has everything that he needs. Why would you try to take him to court and take away everything from him? You make enough money, the child has his own bedroom, you've got a whole house, you've got benefits. What's the problem? And when I stepped back and I looked at myself, see, I always have to surrender myself to someone that can see me. I'm in the square, I can't see me. I'm in the movie. You need to be the observant and tell me. Everybody can't have a front row seat in my life, in the theater of Leslie Strange's life, but I got to pick some people to sit in the front row. And those are the people I tell my stuff to. That's why I'm not ashamed to tell you who I was and who I can become if I just blink. See, this is the steps about the spiritual awakening. So I had a son. He's 21, found out after he was 5 or 6 that he had been reading lips that he had mild to moderate hearing loss. So I felt bad because I wasn't observing. So I beat myself up, but it says, no, no time to beat yourself up. It's time to get to work. Betty T told me, let me tell you something wrong. The problem with your relationships is this. You're spiritually disconnected from people, relationships. And if you're spiritually disconnected from people and relationships, you're spiritually disconnected from God. How you gonna say you love God, but I can't stand Gordon? How I'm gonna say I love God, but I'm not answering that phone because that bee gets on my nerves. She said, you have a block and the sunlight cannot come in if it's blocked. And God, you can't hear God if your ears are blocked. She said, you have spiritual constipation, baby. You have resentments, fear, immoral sex conducts, and a lot of judgment and a lot of selfishness and self-seeking. And when you're spiritually constipated, she said, we got something for that. I said, well, what is that? Mama Betty told me, she said, that is a spiritual enema. We call them 4 steps 4 through 9 and 10 and 11. So bend over, grab your ankles, and relax. She said, because you need a spiritual enema on a regular basis. And the way that I maintain that spiritual enema and I keep myself clear is I do that spiritual care. I come in here and share with you, and I'm not afraid of you. And it doesn't matter what you think. Oh, I like for everybody to like me. But my truth is so strong and my God is so strong and the grace around me is so wide and so all-inclusive and so broad and so roomy. There is nothing that anybody can take away from me. My oldest son went to the military, came home suffering from manic depression. I looked in his eyes. I don't know if you know somebody or even if you suffer from depression, but you can look in your eyes and see the sadness without a tear. And I looked at my son and his hair was matted to his, he was smelly and he's not an alcoholic. And he took himself to, I said, you can't stay with me. You got to get help. So he took himself to the VA. I went to visit him. I had to take off my jewelry, my scarf, give them my keys and go into a locked room. His hair was matted to his head. He had on a paper suit. And he looked at me with that sad eye and I cried. 20 something years sober and I can help everybody in AA, but I can't help my child. And I stood there and I said, God, you see this. Let me know what I need to do to make things better. I've since had living amends with my children. I've always treated them with respect. They know I'm an alcoholic. And my children now call me their spiritual advisor. What a gift. They seek my advice. They come to me and run things past me. And what I do is I take off the mama crown and I put on the sponsor suit. Not that I sponsor them, but I talk to them and I give them the things that you guys gave me. That man that disappeared, don't know where he is. But I've learned how to recognize the flags of somebody that's not healthy for me. Because I've worked hard on my esteem and my worth. Not self-esteem, not self-worth, but my esteem and my worth. I treat other women as if they're gorgeous. I have to act as if even when I'm ugly, you guys love me. So when you act ugly with me as a sponsee, I got to love you anyway. I don't fire anybody. I tell all my sponsees this. I said, you got my number. I've had the same number for a million years, easy as hell. They said, well, will you take me back? Because you know they have a tendency to disappear or fire you. I said, baby, God taught me one good thing. I didn't move. You did. I'm still here. I'm still the same Leslie Strange that you met XXX years, days, weeks, a month ago. In fact, I'm new and improved today because I did something a little better. You know what I found out about my relationships with people? Is that I need to sit down, be still, and ask, God, what can I give to this person? What is the lesson that this person is in my life for? 2 husbands down and a great boyfriend now today. I have a boyfriend, y'all. Look, the hooker in me has a boyfriend that's 3,000 miles away. Now, you know this is a good time to mess up. But I have a wonderful guy in my life. He's in the middle of this thing. A lot of y'all know him, a lot of you don't. But he's a good guy. And he came for me. And he said, hey, let's do this. He said, there's no exits on this plane because I'm also a runner. When it looks like it's getting too thick and too hot, if you ain't doing it the way I want you to do it and how I want you to do it, I'm leaving. Yeah, I'm that girl. But I'm sitting and staying a day at a time. And not only that, I open my doors to sponsees. Let me tell you what Zoom has done for me today. I've had several girls over my house because I live alone. I'm an empty nester. My oldest is 31 now. He has a dog now that helps him out. He's on his medication. Beautiful life. He smiles every day. He's lost the weight. He's happy. That's my God. That's his God. Then I've got a son with the hearing issue. He works for FedEx. He's a fabulous kid. He's artsy. He's fly. He's 21. He keeps me young. I got to be on point. I got to know what's the latest rap, what you listen to. I check his Instagram. If something is improper, I say, take that mess down. Because I will come and get on a plane. I will punch you in your face and I'll come back. Don't do me like that. So these are the relationships that I've developed with my children. Why wouldn't I smile? I've had sponsees that I've met. I met a girl that wanted me. So she said, I want you to sponsor me. I want you to take me. She said, I'm 22 and I'm at a dead place in my life. I said, well, we're going to go back and revisit what you're missing. See, when I sponsor with the girls I work with, we go through your financial insecurity inventory, your emotional insecurity inventory. We go through a lot of different things, but it's not a cookie cutter thing. I do the 4-step just like the big book, but sometimes we have to turn up the volume in our recovery. So she looked at me and she's in Houston. She said, well, when I do my 5th step, can I come to your house? Hell yeah, you can come to my house. She's in the other room managing a meeting I had tonight. Guess what? She's been to my house 3 times. She's even flown and met me in LA. I've known her for 5 months. The other night, she flew to go see her sponsees in North Carolina, did a 5th step with her sponsee, which is my grand sponsee. My grand sponsee sponsors 3 or 4 women. They were all over there, so they all caravan up here in the middle of a pandemic. Safe, but there's a God. And they all came in here and they dropped my girl Anita off. And then we sat here, we played a game and we laughed and talked. And I'd seen them on the squares and it was the first time I'd ever met them. And we made sure I sprayed them to death like they were roaches. I sprayed them and we washed hands and everything. Look at what this program has done. It's brought together people who would never meet. It's brought together people who feel like they're lost. I have sat on my private Zoom meeting for hours with women to talk to them, to give them some hope, to smile at them and tell them that they are enough, even if they don't believe it. There's a hope in this program. I don't know about you, but I got this enthusiasm now. I can't stop. I got to tell somebody. Let me tell you what I found out with enthusiasm about. I got 1.5 minutes to go. Listen to this. I told my son enthusiasm comes from the word entheos. Now, a lot of y'all are smart. You already know that. Entheos means, the N means within. E-N means within. Theos means God. The excitement is from the God within. It ain't me. I'm healthy. I smile. I haven't worked in a year. I haven't missed a house note. I haven't had anything turned off. It's by cooperating with the traditions and with the steps. Is it perfect? Nah. Am I perfect? Oh, hell no. But I'm fun. I'm loud. I'm live. I'm enthusiastic. I'm in living color. I will tell you my faults and I'll tell you my assets because I am clear about who I am and who I'm not. And what I'm not doing today is I'm not drinking. I got a whole lot of life. It teaches me how to live life on life's terms. I don't care who's in office. I don't care what color you are. I don't have nothing to do with none of that. I keep the traditions tight. Those are outside issues. I stick with the inside issues, fixing the God within so you can connect. Because if you anything like me, that Catholic girl from Los Angeles with the tiny natural that didn't think boys liked her, if you anything like me where you felt the hurt and the shame and the pain and humiliation in and out of the rooms, you need a little more God. He's just saying, okay, I'm waiting for you to ask. Let me know what you need me to do for you. It's a partnership, but you got to cooperate, Leslie. And I say, okay, God, let me call my sponsor. She's the extension cord to you because I can't always plug in. I got to get somebody to tell me what I'm supposed to do. So I always surrender myself to God. And I always surrender myself to a sponsor. And I pray that you find the happiness, the joy in the midst of the pain that you desire and that you deserve. Just stay with me. I'm a smile. Y'all gonna see me in my casket. I'm gonna still be cute with my wig on. This is a short wig, and I'm gonna still be smiling. And you'll be looking like, look at Leslie Strange. She's still happy and joyous, and she's real free. Thank you for listening to me. My name is Leslie Strange, and thank you for letting me do this 12 step.